plenty of doerism. And one thing I really try to do on my channels is give people kind of that North Star of like,
Mhm.
yes, it's shit right now, like to be honest, but nothing is forever. It doesn't have to be forever. Y'all, the reforms you guys were just talking about shows that doesn't have to be forever. So what 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 would you like to express that hasn't already been covered thus far?
I wanted to pick up on what you were saying because I saw this video from Richard Wolff where he was talking about why people only hear the bad things about Mexico, and I think he was absolutely right, which is that it tends to happen because if they knew the good things about Mexico, they might take inspiration from it. And it's just, we are so similar in so many ways. Like our political systems are actually pretty similar. We're both federal republics, bicameral legislature, a very strong executive, a legacy of a two-party system that obviously here in Mexico, we've been able to finally dismantle that you obviously could as well. But, of understanding that this has been the culmination in a lot of ways of a very long decades long process. I would say that a lot of what is happening today actually can trace its roots back into 1968, which was, a global uprising, young people demanding more democracy, better, less inequality, and the rest of it. Mexico was no exception. Except I would say that what happened here in Mexico was a military defeat, and that's no insignificant thing. They quite literally were either killed or jailed or, exiled. It was a brutal crushing of the democracy movement in this country, and it's had to pick up the pieces several times. We had in 1988 a fraud where Salinas was elected, and it was quite likely that, it was not legitimate and it was, the product of electoral fraud. And then kind of picking up the pieces and creating a new political party called the PRD that was kind of the left flank of the PRI, obviously other democratic forces coming in, and then the 2006 fraud and the 2012 fraud, it was slightly different in the sense that it was basically an election that was bought with illegal money. And then, because of that experience, another left of center party had to be founded, right? Like it had to happen twice in order to actually get to this point. But every time kind of picking ourselves back up, understanding that, this is still the path. This is how we're going to get there. We're going to get there one way or another. And, we're seeing the fruits of that. There's a great sense of optimism here. It feels great to live in Mexico. I went to a talk with David Harvey, and the first thing he says when he goes to the mic was like, it's really good to be in Mexico because the rest of the world has gone to shit. That is true.
Yeah.
Mexico's got to kind of hold the line for a while, but we're hoping other people can come in because it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard.
You're like,
It's kind of hard to hold that
also,
line. Just
we need you all to like get on this, please.
Yeah.